Welcome in, folks, to another great episode of I've Got a Theory. I'm your host, Henish, and I'm joined today by Natalie Jill. And Natalie is a best-selling author, fat loss expert, and I'm really excited to have you on the show. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
So we've got something to talk about, and you've got a theory, and I want you to share it with us.
Yeah, well, my theory is that everyone needs to just make a decision. Everything in life changes with a decision. And who I am today, a best-selling author, somebody who has a fat loss expert who's helped hundreds of thousands of people lose the fat and keep it off. I've helped empower so many people. That's not always who I was. I used to be in my head with all the reasons why something was not possible. And for me, it started with a decision. And I tell anyone that I work with, everyone that comes in contact with me, it's always a decision. I feel that so many people get so committed to why something's not possible versus getting committed to the decision and possibility. So my theory is that we all get to make a decision.
Yeah, and that's interesting. And it's a good point because there are so many people that are undecisive, right, or can't commit. But it's that decision. And just this morning, I went on vacation a few weeks ago, and then I came back, and then I got a little cold or something like that. And it wasn't coronavirus, fortunately, but then I got a little lazy, and then I noticed I was having some snacks at night and having a drink at night to kind of take the edge off. And I was like, I made the decision this morning. I'm just going to brush my teeth after dinner and stick to sparkling water or seltzer water and call it a wrap, and that'll make a difference because that's probably 300 to 500 extra calories today. So that was the decision that I made this morning. I got to shut off late night snacks so I can reach my fitness and fat loss goals as well. So it's super important to do that because it's one thing to just think about it, but then it's another to decide on it, right? Isn't that the case? Mm-hmm. So how do you help people go from make a decision, right? Because you can't just tell people what to do. You've got to help them decide for themselves, right?
Yeah. So interestingly, I can't help people decide for themselves. I can speak into what's possible when they decide, but that falls on people. So there's three words that are critical to remember to make a change in your life. 3 words: decide, vision, action. That's it. Everything comes down to decide, vision, action. Everything else is the vehicle to get you from decide to vision to action. So we can have different vehicles, different trainers, different people, different motivational speakers, your faith, whatever. There's different vehicles to get you there. However, the decision has to fall on the person first. So when somebody comes to me and they want help, let's say they want help with their business growth, or they want help with creating financial freedom, whatever, or they want help with fat loss. I attract a lot of people for fat loss. I'm going to ask them, what is it that you want? And people actually get stuck on that question, Henish. People get so lost in the vehicle first that they forget what do I actually want? What do I actually want? So that is the decision part. I can't do that for somebody, just like you can't do that for somebody. But we all have an option in our own lives to make powerful decisions. And what I'll ask people that are stuck around that is, are you more committed to the reasons why you can't? Or are you more committed to the possibility? And if you can answer that I'm more committed to the possibility, then it is a decision. And the decision looks like this: I decide, and then you add that thing there. I decide this is the year I'm going to get healthy. I decide this is the year that I get financially free. I decide this is the year that I'm happy in a relationship. But it starts with that. It's a I decision.
Yeah, it's interesting. So then what can you do, or how do you advise people to stay committed to that decision for more than a day, a week, a month?
Yeah. So the decision, number one, you've got to make it. Just decide. And here's the thing. People are so scared of making the wrong decision, but you always have another choice. So let's just say you make the wrong decision. You can make another decision later and change it. So that's number one. So how do you get committed to it? You decide. You declare it. You tell others what you are committed to, what you've decided, what is happening. You do that. Okay. That's critical. And then there's a powerful tool that I call your driving core motivator. Your driving core motivator is the real reason that you want something to happen. So the layer beneath the layer of why you want. So for instance, someone says, I want fat loss. And I say, but why? And it usually starts with, well, I don't know. I just want to be thinner. Okay. Let's go 10 levels deeper. Why do you want to be thinner? Well, I just don't feel good about myself. Okay. And what happens when you don't feel good about yourself? Well, when I don't feel good about myself, I find myself staring in the closet every morning, not wanting to get dressed, and I'm in a bad mood. Okay, what happens then? Well, now I don't want to be around people, so I'm isolating. Okay, what happens then? Well, now I'm not connected to people and I feel lonely and I get moody and I scroll social media and I feel jealousy and envy coming on. Do you see where I'm going with this? We're going deeper. When you get
Yeah.
to the real reason why, your driving core motivator, that's the magic bullet. That is the trick, because when we can hold on to that magic bullet, we are a lot closer to why we're going to make a change. That's
Does
part
it,
one of that answer.
do you think that when people go through that exercise with you of you doing a deep dive into their real motivation, that also sets off some realization for them to say, oh, now that I'm saying it out loud, now I understand what my reason is. And this isn't an overnight fix. This could take a few months or even a year or longer
Yes.
to achieve my goals. But now that I've said it out loud, I now understand the consequences of my past decisions.
Yes, that's critical. But then there's the vision part. So the vision is another tool, powerful tool of how you stay there. So if you get clear on what you want and why, that's your vision. See, everybody likes to jump to the vehicle. How am I going to get there? I'm going to follow this plan, or I'm going to hire this person, or I'm going to invest here. That's the vehicle. Okay. But if we've skipped the other parts, it's not going to happen easily, because then you have things like, my motivation isn't there, I feel lazy today, or whatever. And then we get off track. Okay. Excuses come in. But when we can get clear on what we've decided and declare it, and we're super laser clear on the vision, what we want and why, when we can stay focused on the vision, we are going to get there. So that's
Yeah.
avoiding the how initially and getting clear on the vision. So some ideas, like simple ideas, like make a vision board. When I was in my own rock bottom years ago, and I still use vision boards today, I'm looking at one as I talk to you right now. What I did is I made a vision board, which meant I pulled out pictures of things that inspired me, that got me into my happy place of where I want to be, what I want to create. When I would stare at that, I used to say to myself, okay, if I was the girl living in that board, what would I be doing today? Who would I be talking to? What would I be listening to? How would I be spending my time? What would I be eating? What would I be drinking? I would do that and stay focused on my vision, and everything else would become easier.
Wow. This is it's interesting how people that have your type of job, and everyone does it differently. Don't you feel that it's not just about getting people to jump on a treadmill or change their diet? A lot of it is counseling, right? A lot of it's in your head, and that's the first limiting beliefs and the challenges that you have, is to get someone to get out of their head
Yeah.
and,
So just
and
the
make a
belief
decision.
that, oh, it's not in my head. People get triggered by that. Like, it's not in my head. It's not my mindset. Just saying that tells me it's in your head, because everything starts there.
Yeah,
Again, if someone's saying that, then they're more committed to the reasons why not versus the possibility. Because
right.
everything starts. Think about people that have created $100 million businesses. Like, where did that come from? It came from something in their head. Think about people that decided to lose a lot of weight. It came from something in their head. Think about somebody who decided to get married and have children. Comes from your head. Your head is everything.
Yeah,
So where
yeah,
your
it's
mind
true.
goes, everything else is going to follow. So it's foolish to say that something's not in my head.
Okay, so we're done with the decision and the vision, and then what?
So once you're crystal clear on your decision and you're crystal clear on your vision, and sometimes it takes a long time there. I'm just going to be real. Like, you've got to be there first. Then it's the action. And it's taking action daily. You don't need massive action. Massive action can overwhelm and scare people, but an action every day moves you forward into the right place. So taking those steps, finding that vehicle. There's no wrong vehicle, by the way, Henish. There's no wrong vehicle. You
Sure.
can pick that, because when you're clear on your decision and your vision, you're going to get there.
Yeah, but then now it comes down to making a plan. No, we have to make a plan,
Yeah, but
or
that's part of the action. So the action is those things. So, like, for instance, with fat loss, so start with that. What do I want to create? What do I want for myself? What's my vision? What is it going to look like, feel like, smell like, be like when I'm there? Okay, now what is my action plan? Am I going to follow one of Natalie Jill's fat loss programs? Am I going to follow somebody else's? Am I going to do this on my own? Like, what is that? That's also a decision, right? And then it's
sure.
just doing it. It's doing a little bit every day. I've helped so many people lose the fat and keep it off, because we spent a lot of time and decide and vision first. And
Yeah,
then we go through an easy action. But see, this is the thing. When people go to action first, all the what's wrong with it comes up. Oh, I don't feel like it. I'm tired. It's too hard. I don't like this. I'm picky eater, right? Because we skip to the decide and vision. When you're clear on your decision and your vision, that stuff doesn't matter.
So okay, interesting. So yeah, there's a lot to unpack here, because obviously everyone has so many limiting beliefs, and And you tell me if you want to chat about this angle of this at all. But coronavirus is a big thing right now, right?
Yes, huge
And
thing.
one thing that seems to be totally absent from all the media coverage of it is the health and fitness
Yes,
portion
it's
of
so
coronavirus.
infuriating to me.
And so
Yeah.
it's like take the vaccine, and that's the only solution. I'm like, that's not the only solution. Maybe you should
No.
consider some lifestyle changes that would put you at less of a risk. Have you
Yes.
had these kind of conversations with people and saying, hey, if you were healthy to begin with, you wouldn't be impacted by any disease
Hmm.
as much.
Yeah, so I have a very strong person, and this is a very personal choice for people, but I have a very strong opinion about it, and I speak from this as actually of having COVID. I had it, my whole family had it, and it wasn't amazing. I'm not going to lie. I was super sick I was very sick for 10 days, and then I had lingering things for 2 or 3 months. It was a big deal. So I get that, and I'm on the other side of it. And I have an autoimmune and I'm on the other side of it. So I got that I might be one of the lucky people. There's others that are not, but there's no question to me that how I take care of myself, my health, my fitness levels, all of that, no question to me that that helped me thrive through it. No question. And
Yeah.
what concerns me is I'm not anti-vax at all. I don't have an issue with people that want a vaccine. But what concerns me is that people look at that as just that's the only answer. Like I can be overweight, I can be unhealthy, I can do all these terrible things to my body, and I'm just going to take a shot and be fine. That's not the answer.
Yeah. And we see this so much in the US in general with our dependence on prescription drugs and pharmaceuticals, and also the way our healthcare industry treats people that have an issue, right? Right. Oh,
Mhm.
if you go to the doctor and say, I've got heart problems, and he finds out you've got heart problems, they don't tell you to exercise and change your diet. They tell you to take a pill.
Yeah, that's very concerning to me. Very concerning to me. But I got that everyone wants that magic pill, but it also goes back to decide vision action too. Like what's bothered me this year so much is the blame of healthy people. Like I don't like this flip that basically some of the most healthy people that are fit, taking care of themselves, they're basically being blamed and labeled as evil people if they won't inject the vaccine because it's now their fault that others are getting sick. And I just can't get behind that. I
Right. Because
can't
you
get
see this
behind
with the
that at all.
Olympics. You see this with the Olympics athletes that they're like, we're good, we're fit as possible. If we get it, we'll be affected, but I'd rather take
Yeah.
my odds on fighting through a disease naturally than with some kind of supplement that
Yeah, I feel
you can't
strongly
take.
that it should be a personal choice. And I get that I don't run the country, so it's not my choice here. And
Yeah, for
I
sure.
get that it's also a personal decision to people, but I get very uncomfortable that it's becoming this divisive. Like this is the only you're an evil person because you put your health first. There's a lot of people that actually cannot get the vaccine. They really can't. And I'll tell you right now, like I had COVID. I have the antibodies. I know I do. I've been checked several times. I still have them. Why on it makes no sense to me why I would get the vaccine right now. Like I
Yeah,
have the antibodies.
yeah.
I wouldn't do that. I'm not. And that I'll be discriminated against now, especially living in California because I don't have that. I think that that's to me that's just evil. I
That is
can't get
bad.
behind that.
Okay, let's get back to your theories, about making a decision to get to your goals. So you decide, you got your vision, you make your action. How do you stay committed to that?
Yeah, so staying committed to that is reminding yourself daily of your decision and your vision and taking personal but responsibility around it. So once you have a decision and you're in your vision, it is not anybody else's fault. And the sooner you can accept that, the better off you're going to be. Because if you stay in a place of it's other people's faults, like it's not, woe is me, you're again more committed to the problem versus the solution. You're not committed to possibility. So it's reminding yourself daily of your decision and your vision. And like I said, as I'm talking to you, I look at my vision board. It's right here in front of me. I journal every day. I'm very aware of what I'm committed to, what I decided, what my vision is. And that's like the first thing I'll look at every day before diving into action. Because it's very easy to dive into your to-do list and just get sidetracked on the actions. But it's reminding yourself of your decision and your vision, and you can stay committed. I have women so many times in my programs, they're halfway through, they're doing amazing. And they're like, oh my gosh, I fell off track. What's wrong with me? And they instantly will go to self beat up. And I'll tell them, there's nothing wrong with you. You're human. But what was your decision and what was your vision? And getting you back to that, you're always in a great place to start over.
With you made a key point, and I think a lot of people don't think about it enough, is having like an internal locus of control versus saying that it's someone else's fault. And I hear that often with anything. It's not my fault that this is happening. It's because so and so did this. Or it's not my fault that this is happening. It's because of the person in the government that's the president
Hmm.
that caused this thing to happen. And it's not my fault because of this, because of my spouse did something. And it's like,
Hmm.
how do you get people to shift? Because that's a major mindset change, to go from an external locus of control or having blame
Yeah.
on other people and things into an internal locus of control, which is like, it's all you. It's
Yeah.
not anyone else's fault.
Well, getting somebody to shift is not easy because you can't put that on somebody. But what you can't cast a vision over somebody. Like I can't tell somebody you have to change your mindset, you have to do this. But what I can do is I could be living proof of that. I look at last year, I had 4 major injuries, like major injuries. It was a rough year for me. I mean, I had 3 surgeries, 4 major injuries then I had COVID. I had like so many things went wrong, and I could have absolutely gone into victim mentality around it, and everyone would have understood. They'd say, you're right, but people saying you're right, that sucks, doesn't empower me. The thought of what am I going to do about it? What am I going to change? That's empowering. So by being an example, by living that way, it gets people into curiosity and they want to know how you did that. I could talk about that on any topic. Like look at faith, the topic of faith. I know everyone has their own opinions there, but when I'm around somebody that's of solid faith, they have a great relationship with God, for instance, and they're living that life. It makes others more curious. They want to learn more about that. Same thing, you see somebody living a healthy lifestyle and thriving. They look like you want. Get curious with them. Like, what is it that they're doing? But it's living the example that will change other people. This year especially has been so divisive on so many levels. And I believe, unfortunately, that there's too many in our population blaming the other side. Like, I don't know how this got into politics so heavily, but it's like the world right now, but it's like everything's become political and everyone's blaming the other group for the problems of the world instead of going internal. And that's,
Yeah.
to me, is a problem, because I'm not going to change somebody who has different opinions than me, but I
Yeah.
can love them and love that we are in a place where we're allowed to have different opinions. And I can still go about what I think is right for me and the world that I feel is right. And I can live my life well and be that example for others. But the second I go into that person's an idiot, I don't agree, that I'm not serving or helping anyone.
No, it's true. I mean, it is. I feel from the top a certain level of divide and conquer, and they're doing a good job of it because they're finding different reasons to pit people against each other, for whatever purposes. And maybe it is
Yeah.
because you can kind of play to people's emotions better that way.
It
But
serves me best to believe that everybody has the best intentions. Like that's the only way I can wrap my mind about it. Like if somebody fully doesn't agree with me and they're like, I don't agree with you. This is the way it should be, blah, blah, blah. I get triggered easily, right? But I have to go internal and go, what's my intention? What do I want? Because me attacking or arguing or fighting with them doesn't change anything. That keeps me in victim mentality. So I just have to go internal and go, okay, get to, just like I can have my own opinion, I get to love that they have their own opinion. And I still
yeah,
get to listen and come from a place of love and understanding. And I get to be open minded and not judge and not criticize and not hang up on them, which is the temptation, and just do what I believe. And if I have to believe, if we're both coming from a place of we want the best thing for the world, we want the best thing for the others, then we can come to a better place. But unfortunately, the media, everything is not feeding into that right now. I mean, just scrolling social media will give me anxiety, like you're attack, you see just attack on everything. And I want to believe that people are truly doing the best they know how to do. That serves me
it's
better than believing in there's some wacky person trying to control and mess us all up or whatever.
it's true, and I think when you dig into it and you talk to someone, you'll find that you have 100 things that you have in common.
Yes.
But the one thing that you've decided to talk about is the one thing you might not have in common.
Yeah, I go this with my mom, just to be honest with you. Like I love my mom. We are completely 110% different views on things going on in the world right now. Like we just do not agree on it at all.
Yeah,
And we have a strong personality, both of us. And our conversations don't go well sometimes. And I've said to my mom recently, like, Mom, I love you. And let's just not talk about these things because let's just talk about my daughter and the world. Like, let's talk about other things right now because we do not agree. And that's okay. Like, you
yeah,
can have your views, I can have mine. Let's not get into it because we're not going to convince each other. And I've got to be okay with that. I think we should all be okay with that. That's my
right.
opinion.
Yeah, no, it's true. Well, Natalie, I really appreciate and respect your time and spending it with us here. The theory that everything starts with a decision is so true and poignant. And it really comes down to that. It's not someone else's decision. It's not someone else that tells you this. You got to do it for yourself.
Yeah,
Right?
I fully believe that. And question things, if somebody else is making a decision for you and you're just going along with that, like, is that truly your decision? Like maybe that is your decision. I don't want to make decisions. I want somebody else. That's fine. But just make that decision then. Like that is a decision in itself to listen to somebody else.
It's true. Yeah, you're right. And you have to be smart enough to look at data and things that are nonfiction. I heard a comedian joke about how we only trust the library because at least they have the decency to divide the location of the building up into nonfiction
Yeah.
and fiction. So you know which parts are true and which parts aren't. But with the media that we get on social media or the news, there's no such division. No one
Yeah.
knows what's true or not true anymore because it's all presented as truth. And you're like, is it all true? Because I just saw
Yeah.
the opposite thing on another channel.
It's so funny. I don't really watch the news anymore because I just don't like what it creates in my world. When I watch it, I get my news sources in other ways. But I was on the plane the other day and I was watching live TV and I was flipping through all the stations like MSN, CNN, Fox. Like I just wanted to hear what other people were being fed. And it was so interesting to me to watch this. And I was like, okay, it actually gave me a little bit of a sense of peace. Like, okay, this is why people believe that. This is why people believe that. Like the same thing told so many different ways. It's so interesting to me. So we've got to be very aware of what we're taking in and how it's affecting us.
Here's a little tip for you that I learned from a prior guest. Is a source called Ground News, Ground, and on it, it's a news aggregator, and it'll divide things up by political bias. So
Wow.
here's the news story that was only covered by left-leaning publications.
Yeah.
Here's a news story that was only covered by right-leaning, or here's stories that were covered equally, and they'll give you a score based on it. And so you can find both sets of news and see how they were covered on this news aggregator, which is super useful. So I'll
wow.
go to that a lot of times.
What's it called? What did you say that was called?
Ground News, Ground
News. I'm
Ground.
gonna check that out.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
because it'll show you all these different sources, including international, which sometimes we don't necessarily have privy to. Because you're like, what's the UK saying on this? What's Australia saying? What's Russia saying? Because you get different perspectives from different journalists from these different places, and then somewhere the truth is in between those bounds. So it's good to see it that way, because then I'm like, okay, this is a little bit more. At least I'm seeing the full range of perspectives on something that should be a fact but isn't presented as a fact.
Well, what's interesting is humans in general want certainty, and I get that. Like we all want certainty. We don't like unknown. So the reason I think we're so divided is everyone's looking for that certainty and they want to be right and they want it to be. And the problem is 50% of people aren't going to agree with you. They're just not going to.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just, so that's the whole issue. And why everyone wants certainty. People want an answer. They want to believe that, the vaccine's the answer. That's certainty. They want to believe that the vaccine's not the answer. That's certainty. Like everyone's looking for like that certainty. And that's what's causing this division. And that's not real life. Like real life is gray. There's a black and white. For some people, the vaccine is the best option. They need to do it.
Absolutely.
For some people, it's one of the worst options. You cannot tell me, this is where I get, and I'm quiet on social media about this, but you can't tell me that's the answer for everybody, because there's some people that are seriously immunocompromised and that vaccine is going to put them over the edge.
Yeah, that's true. Right. You get serious side effect. I mean, you hear these stories anecdotally. I wish there was better data that gave us all the information, because you can't tell that one story of your one friend that XYZ happened to and think that that's
we're all and we don't know. There's a lot we don't know. So for some people, it is absolutely the thing you should do. For some people, it's absolutely the thing you should not do. And so I personally have an issue with the dictatorship idea of like telling everybody there's only one way, because I don't believe that. Unfortunately, my opinion doesn't matter, and I get it. Like the states have laws, there's like things, and I'm a law-abiding citizen, so I get to go along with what is happening there. That's also a decision for me. Yeah. But you can't tell me, but that my opinion is what it is.
Yeah, and I'm of the mindset that let's keep getting better data, and as we vet it out, I'm okay with it. Same. I trust medicine, I trust science.
Yes.
But this is something that's something a little there's some sketchy aspects of this.
Yes. And Henish, what concerns me more is that everyone's so scared to talk about it. Like, I am too. I'm talking to you about it, and I will continue to talk about it. But for me to go on social media and make some big post about, like, I'm not going to do that because I understand how divisive that is.
It is, and it's gotten political, and then then people start slinging words like "you're dumb" and "you're wrong," and I'm like,
Yeah. And I don't,
I'm trying to
I
figure it
don't, and the
out.
bottom line is we don't know. I don't know. And
Yeah.
I'm not going to argue with somebody about it. I don't have the answers.
Hey, Natalie. So, hey, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Spend some
Thank
time
you.
talking with you. It was super fun, and I got to learn a lot. And every time I do a show with someone that's, at the top level of their profession, their career, I feel like I'm taking a 25-minute masterclass. So
I
thank
love
you,
it.
thank you for sharing your wisdom with
Sure.
us. And for it was another great episode of I've Got
Yeah.
a Theory with Natalie Jill. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks so much.